Welcome to Trojans Live.
Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, and Caryl Smith-Gilbert, the director of track and field for USC Track and Field, national champion. And Coach, there's a bunch of topics I want to get to, jump around a little bit with you. But let's start with your sport and your team. And you know, it's going to be about 2 years before you get to do the NCAAs again. I know you had a little bit of an indoor season before you got shut down in the spring, but you know, I think all the way back to your last sort of taste, our last taste of watching, you know, women's track and field. You were so close to a repeat. I'm sure you wanted so badly this spring to get back out there to get a shot at redemption, since you were so close at back-to-back titles. What's it been like sitting on this for so long with your program and really missing all your outdoor season and even the business end of your indoor season?
Actually, it's been pretty tough. To have these student athletes miss two championship seasons, it's been very disappointing. Not just because obviously we want to win, but you just hate for the student athletes to work so hard every day and then to be taken off the track at the national championship indoor finals and say, okay, it's canceled. And not only that, we canceled the outdoor season too. That's a tough thing to swallow. And then they cancel the Olympics to boot. So it's been a little rough, but hopefully that's all behind us.
Coach, I was interested in talking to you about success. You know, I go through your resume, and every level you've coached at, you've been successful. What are some of those key ingredients you think to creating that winning culture in teams, and why have you been able to be successful doing those things?
I think the key ingredient for anybody is hard work. It's pretty cut and dry. Hard work and tenacity and just being relentless about day in and day out, giving everything you have and working hard at what you want and believing you can do it. But you got to just work all the time. Hard work. That's the key.
Coach, you know, people that don't know, I mean, sprinters in particular, you know, they're like race cars. I mean, you're always sort of tuning them up, and they need to be the sort of perfect machine. I can't imagine this layoff was good for anyone. I remember during the layoff seeing, you know, Allison Felix, you know, running around her neighborhood like she's Rocky Balboa. I mean, what have been the physical effects on your athletes of this sort of sedentary lifestyle that we had to deal with for several months?
Well, obviously, in sprinting, you need a lot of power, so you need a lot of muscle, and the gyms are closed, so you couldn't lift, no weights. So there's been some. I mean, my athletes came back looking pretty good because they're pretty dedicated, but there was some loss of muscle mass. A lot of more than anything, mental. You know, just trapped in the house with nothing to do. When you run, you feel free. Thing about running is freedom, and you can't do that because the tracks are closed, nowhere to go. It's just probably just you can't use your speed. If you're a Ferrari and you have to sit in the garage, yeah, you're right. You got to run the oil through the car. You want yep. want the pistons firing. So the same thing that would happen to a Ferrari if you don't drive it for 7 months. Got to take it out and put it on the Autobahn, I would imagine. So,
you have a Ferrari,
Autobahn
right? Tell us about Ferraris.
we got to tune them up now.
Yeah, I wouldn't know about that. I just got an old Lincoln bucket that barely runs, Coach. I wouldn't know about the Ferrari life. But Coach, you know, as a Black woman at the helm of one of the most successful, you know, track and field programs in the country, what does it mean to you to be able to lead and mentor young Black women and men on and off the field? And how does that work with you and your players?
It means everything to me. It's important to me that they see me and that I lead by example, and that I'm a good role model for them so they'll be able to know that they can lead and they can do things that maybe have never been done. I always say I'd like to be the first female to win the men's championship, national championship. I also, I want not just the Black kids to see it. I think it's important for the white kids to see it, for the other kids to see it, because maybe they'll develop, or if they don't have it already, I think they do, because this generation accepts me more than my own does, a new level of respect for a woman or a Black person or a Black woman. And they leave here with, if they're going to be bosses, a better attitude about hiring Black people and hiring Black women, because they're going to be people in high positions. So it's important for me, for my whole team, to know how important it is for me to be in this position.
Yeah, and during this time, we've seen several of your student athletes really be at the forefront of this social justice movement that we've seen within the USC athletics community. Is it something that you had encouraged them to do? What have those conversations been like within your team?
Yes, absolutely. Be honest with you, Anna Cockle called a little upset about maybe what we were or weren't doing at USC. And I said, hey, it's not their responsibility. It's your responsibility. So why don't you do something about it? And she said, I'm going to I want to start a Black student organization in athletics. I said, okay, well, let's get it started. So I said, let's do a Zoom call. And I ran track crosstown with Dr. Dinah Ramey Berry. She's one of the head of African American Studies at University of Texas now. So we got on a call with her, and I invited the whole athletic department to take part, anybody who wanted to, and that's how the UBSAA got started, and it kind of just went from there. But I encouraged them to share and let their voice be heard in a positive way. There's things you can do. And you can do it positively, and your voice can be heard, and you can make a positive impact. And I think they've done a good job with that. All of the student athletes, not just the track team. I think it's branching out for all of the student athletes and the athletic department in totality.
We're here with Coach Caryl Smith Gilbert, head coach for the track and field team. Coach, not only are you the coach for the track and field team, but you do have a young son on that football team, young Spencer Gilbert. What's it like having your son on campus? And have you guys had any come on, mom moments, like where you guys run into each other and he's a little bit embarrassed? What's that like with your son?
I try to let him have his space so he can enjoy college. But sometimes I walk past the weight room and blow kisses at him so his teammates can see. But we went out there to work with football on speed, me and Coach Watts, but I let him go to Coach Watts' group. So that way I wouldn't be directly over him.
Because I'm sure the guys aren't razzing him about it, no way.
Yeah, but when we had the pandemic, I trained him, right? I kept him in shape. We trained every day, so he knows what I would do. But I also think it's important that he has his own life and he has his own name and he has his own things to do, because it's not about me. It's about him, and he earns his own way, so he feels accomplished on his own accord.
Yeah, we saw you out there doing speed training with the football team, and I know that you have some high-profile football clients as well. So this is nothing new to you. What's the difference between track speed and football speed when you do work with football players, as opposed to your typical sprinters and track athletes?
Oh, no different. Speed is speed. I think football players catch on a little quicker to what we teach them, only because they probably start learning skill at a younger age. And they're just used to having to learn something very quickly and having to do it right away. But speed is speed. It's no difference. When you're fast, you're just plain fast. But there's a whole lot of them over there. And I told Clay, man, that's where all my track team is, over here. You guys are all fast kids over here with them. So, but my guys, they're more linear. Those guys can move around back and forth. So, but it's a lot of fun over there. I had, let my hair down and saying do things you can't really do in track.
Maybe your track athletes would run faster if people were chasing them. Maybe there's that survival instinct.
That probably
that
makes you a lot faster if a 265-pound 6'6" guy is chasing you. You probably run a lot faster.
Coach, any tips? Any quick tips just for a 37-year-old, 300-pound former defensive lineman to get that speed up to maybe one day play in shape again? When you got any tips for me? I know it's hard to make it faster, but how would you do that?
Don't do much.
Just take it easy.
I don't want any liability on this.
Keep those hamstrings intact, Sean. We're just worried about you blowing out that
soft tissue.
All right, that's Coach Caryl Smith Gilbert, national champion, our head director of track and field for both men's and women's track and field. And in the winter, they'll get it going again, indoor season, then outdoor season, and looking forward to seeing your team compete again.